We know summer in Colorado means trading in the skis for tents, so we're going to talk about that right here and right now. Kara Van Hoest is here to talk about summer camping. She represents Colorado Parks and Wildlife, so let's get right to it. We promised before the commercial break we were going to let people know everything they need for that perfect summer camping.
Yes, all your questions answered.
If you are going camping, especially with the young kids, what are some of those essentials that you want to make sure you have for those trips?
You want to make sure you bring enough water for everyone. We recommend 2 to 3 liters per day per person. So you really can't pack enough water in that. And then you want to be sure you have your sunscreen, your bug spray, and then any necessary medications as well. It's really easy to forget that you're going to be out in the wild and maybe not in that nighttime routine, but be sure you bring all of those things that you would use from your medicine cabinet.
I think a lot of times people will remember the bug spray before the water, but the water is where you need to start for sure.
Oh, definitely, especially in those higher altitudes. You're closer to the sun, maybe you're out hiking. It's just not out there.
Right.
You got to bring your water.
People love talking about fails, camping fails. What are some common mistakes people make before they head out for that trip?
I think they arrive to their campsites too late. They think, okay, I'm gonna go after work, and then they get there maybe after 7 or 8 and it's already dark. And setting up a tent is hard enough. You don't wanna do it in the dark. And maybe you don't have enough light from your headlamp or something like that. So get there early and be sure you know what's going to be at your campsite. Do you need electric hookups? Do you have an RV? Is there a toilet? You need to know all of these things before you actually go to your campsite.
I mean, camping anywhere can be tough. Camping in Colorado can be especially tricky because you could be spending all day in a really hot summer day and then spending your night in what feels like the middle of winter when you're laying in that tent. Can you talk about, for starters, how to really prepare for those really warm summer days if you are out at a campsite?
You need layers because even if you start the day really warm, maybe you have that afternoon thunderstorm roll in and now you need a coat, you need a hat. So be sure you're prepared for any sort of scenario and check the weather before you go. Check in with Katie, see what the forecast is gonna be, maybe out in the mountains. And then like you said, totally at night, it gets cooler, it's down in the 40s and 50s, and it's just so easy to forget that that's a possibility in Colorado.
And to get that direct access to Katie, here comes her cell number. What about first aid kits? Obviously, they're important to have on a camping trip. Can you talk about some of the items that you just definitely have inside that first aid kit?
It's great to have an antiseptic spray. Maybe you get into something like some poison ivy or something bites you and you need that, but also just some basic bandages, Band-Aids, things like that, maybe some disinfectant as well.
I was told we should talk about first-time campers. If someone has never done this before and they're going out for the first time, what's the best advice? My advice would be go with someone who actually knows what they're doing.
Yes.
But beyond that, is that number one?
Yeah, that's great. Or tell someone where you're going.
Okay.
Make a plan. Be sure that somebody who is within cell range knows when you're supposed to be back. And also know that camping in Colorado is a really big deal and people reserve these campsites 6 months in advance. So be sure that if you are going out and you don't have a reservation, that you're a little flexible, with location and timing.
Kara, we have less than 30 seconds. So any other piece of information you'd like to share, even if it's pushing people to a website to get more info?
I would say know that you're going to be spending the night with bears. So keep all of your food and any sort of snacks out of your tent and locked away in your cars because you don't want a bear barging into your tent.
I hope that the people who watch this show regularly know that already. I feel like every week we're running a story about bears that have invaded a house that, left the doors open or left their trash cans open.
It's good to remember. Yeah, lock your car. They can open those car doors.